But the thing that most struck me this morning was actually Becca's prayer. Right at the beginning, she said something that I really loved, and I just want to expound upon for a second. She said that we can give praise to the beloved as beloved daughters. And I just love that word, beloved. What does it mean to be the beloved? Have you guys, who's seen Sleeping Beauty? Or you know the story, right? So there's a princess, very beautiful, and she is enchanted by an evil witch who puts her to sleep. And the only way that she can be awakened is by true love's kiss. But she's in a tower, in a castle, surrounded by a moat, up in the mountains, and there's a dragon too. Not quite easy to get a kiss in there. But there's a guy who knows she's there. And he has a burning fire in his heart. And he endures a horrific journey to find out more information about where the castle is. And he goes, and nothing will stop him. It's not just a fickle flame that blows out at the first sign of challenge. He is enduring in his pursuit. And he encounters the dragon. He finds a way to slay the dragon. He enters the castle. And finally, he's able to kiss her, to break an evil spell, to bring unity and life back to her. And I love this image because why is it that story resounds in my heart and in your heart, maybe in slightly different ways, but in such a powerful way? And if you think about it, just about every love story and every adventure movie we've ever watched has a theme like this. There's some budding love, you know? There's the prince and the princess. And there is a wild challenge or some big conflict that has to be endured until it can come to fruition and they can finally be together in unity. This is also the Bible. This is also the tale of the Bible. And it's so funny, we don't think about it like this, but Jesus says this pretty often, and even the prophets in the Old Testament, they say this all the time. They talk about you and me as the bride. And they talk about the Father as basically the prince, the pursuer, the bridegroom. And so that word beloved, when I hear the word beloved, I think of like my wedding day, or I think of a wedding day. And it's so cool because if we look to God's heart and we say, well, like, I don't know if it's big enough for me. Clearly, he hasn't seen my heart. Has he seen how wrinkled or broken it is, or punctured by others, or just messy? And what I would say to that is like, yeah, he has. Look at this forest. Look up in the trees. Every single tree is different. And each one, you might say, slightly imperfect. But there is no perfect tree. And when you actually zoom out a little bit and look at it all, when you take the whole forest in, it's precisely in the diversity of the trees and the differences of all of them that make it so unique and so beautiful. And when you behold it all at once, it's like, holy smokes. Last night we were in our counselor meeting and we were talking about all the ways we want to love you guys this week. And one of the things that happens is I got sleepy. And so when I get sleepy, I pray for grace that I can stay awake. And sometimes when I pray, I get images in prayer. And it's really fun because you never know what the Holy Spirit is going to place in your heart. And last night, as I was praying, and I was sitting amidst all the girls and listening to them love on you and talk about how much you guys are just enchanting their hearts, I saw myself sitting back like I was in the dining hall, but I was in a sunlit field, and there were tall flowers all around me, and they were swaying in a breeze, and they were all unique. And it reminded me of one of my favorite quotes of a young girl named Therese of Lisieux. She was a great contemplative Christian heart. And she said, if every flower wanted to be a rose, then spring would lose its loveliness. If every flower just wanted to be another kind of flower, then spring would lose its loveliness. And when I look at each of you, And I think, like, how true of that is this field of flowers in front of me? Each of you desiring, like, that other person, by my perspective, has all these gifts that maybe I want more of. Or maybe I just don't like myself. I don't think that I'm made of the right stuff, and I just wish I was something else. But the truth is, like in the skit, that your gifts are unique and unrepeatable. And if you have the courage to believe that you were not just dropped here by some chance, but that you were chosen, that you were willed, that you were necessary for some task that you alone were born for, then you can understand that your gifts are lock and key. And they're also arrayed in a variety of beautiful colors, like a flower in a field, that contributes to a picture that maybe you don't see the whole time, but for the Father who's looking down, he sees it all. And he sees how beautiful you are, just like that image I had in prayer, sitting with all the girls last night. Now the trick is understanding that as we are given this life because we're loved, we didn't choose to get born into the families. I didn't choose to be born at this time like I am now. It just captured me, same as your life captured you. But as I am, this is what I get to sow. I get to bloom where I'm planted. And Jesus talks also about, like, the gifts you have, there's different ways that you can use them in your life. And it's all about how much you choose to use them. He said, and he talks about them as talents. And you have many talents. He says, okay, so like you can use, if I give you these talents, there's different types of servants. Some servants might go and they might invest it. They might use it. And they can reap 60, 80, 100-fold. That's a lot. That means 100 times the gifts you have. That's how much goodness is sown into the world. Or maybe you can sow them a little bit and reap like 10, 20, 30-fold. Still great. And depending on what you have in your deck of cards of life, that might be awesome. But then some of us get scared and we bury them because we're ashamed of them. We don't think we could possibly wield them well. And we don't want to be responsible for the damage that we'll probably do. And that's, the Lord comes to us in that instance and says, no. You must trust me. I gave you these gifts for use. I gave you these gifts for sharing. And only in learning to share your gifts will you be really, truly happy. You have to learn to be courageous enough to use your gifts in the world to be really, truly happy. And understand that when you and this is what it means to be yourself. It doesn't mean do whatever you want and discard the people next to you. It means let your gifts, which are made for community, which are made for family, come into cooperation with the people around you. And what happens is magic. What happens is you feel joy, you feel peace, you feel gentleness. All of a sudden you understand your life. It's called understanding, a gift of understanding. You feel more kind towards others. All of these things come into unity in your heart when we just say, all right, I'm going to drop the charades. I don't want to wear this mask of fear anymore. I want to be myself. And when that happens, and you know this, think about the people that they just have something you want. Man, and for me, a lot of these girl counselors are a daily inspiration. It's like, wow, they're so beautiful. And I don't mean in like a physical way, although you guys are all so beautiful. I mean more in like their hearts are radiant. There's a glow because they're giving of themselves for your sake. And it just fills me to the brim. So one more thing I just want to return, circling back to that quote. If every flower wanted to be a rose, then spring would lose its loveliness. Your unique and unrepeatable beauty was made for a purpose. You were born with a purpose, and that purpose still exists. And that purpose may or may not be realized depending on your choice of letting your gifts be nurtured. That means that you might get rejected at times in life. But the good news about being the beloved is that you are not defined by other people's opinion of you. You are defined by your Father's love for you, by the bridegroom's love for you, by the prince's love for you. And when you have that confidence, nothing can shake you. Nothing in life will uproot you. And that should bring peace to your heart. because it means that even if the worst should come, you don't have to be afraid. You can be free.